Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Athers. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 11th, 2022 at approximately 8:05 a.m. PST. Well, the reality of it is this. Okay, first and foremost, before I get into this, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind everybody that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, it is going to take, it's going to take a lot of people. Society is going down a very dark, very misguided path in my eyes. Okay, it used to be a question, like there were a lot of things in the past that were beneficial. There were a lot that were a lot worse than they are today. But take a look at the past and go, okay, it happened. We cannot change that. The past happened. No matter what you've been through, no matter how you got to where you are right this moment, your past is what brought you to this point. Okay. Now, I've had my run ins with people. I end up with disagreements with people, just like you have. But here's the thing karmic law is very clear. Do unto others, first and foremost, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, with this in mind, when you're going into somebody else's house, somebody else's business, somebody else's software platform, okay, there are rules they put in place. Now, you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to, you do not have to understand them, okay, and you certainly nobody, depending on the complexity of the rules, of the list of rules, you may not know them, but the thing you do have to do is honor them. Okay, now I've run into this problem with companies, with stores. If you go to restaurants, they go no shirt, no shoes, no service. You do not have to agree with those three laws, but you do have to honor them. So if they tell you you can't come in here if you don't wear shoes or you don't wear a shirt, if you don't want to wear a shirt, don't go through the door. Okay. There are certain things you don't talk about in some households. Two of the big ones you don't talk about in many households are religion and politics. Okay. Because they seem to cause all kinds of complications. Okay. But when you walk into a community, you must honor the laws of the land in which you are. If you're going into somebody's home and their law does not contravene the local laws, okay, you do have to follow those laws. Okay. Now, a prime example of this, okay, and it's the least offensive for most people, I think. If a community says it's okay to smoke in this community, okay, to smoke or vape, take your pick. If a community says it's okay to do this, you can in your house go, no, you cannot smoke and you cannot vape in my house. You're not contravening social law. Okay, you're not contravening the laws of the land in which your home is set or in which your business is set. Now, on the flip side, if the community says you cannot smoke anywhere in the community, in your home, in your business, you cannot pick up and say, you cannot turn around and say, okay, in my house, in my business, you're allowed to smoke. Okay. Now, the reality is there are licenses you can get that will enable you to do that, but at that point, you're now following community law. Okay, so I'm talking about in the businesses where the law says you can't. Okay, it's very much like some topics on some platforms. There are topics that are an issue. Okay, now I'm pretty black and white. Okay, for me, I do my best to go, this is my opinion. However, when like I got called on the other day, and I'm not going to bother going into it. I made a comment. I'm not even entirely certain which one, but the reality is that I ended up getting a verbal warning, and I simply went. They went, "Do you want to argue it?" And I went, "No. It's your law. It's your community. So I said, no, I'm not going to argue it. It's like, thanks for the heads up. Okay, all I got, and as they put it, all I got was a warning. Okay, and they sent me the links to give me the list of their guidelines that I went through and went, okay, I understand this part of it, so I'm not going into that. The point being, they called it and they said, look, this is overstepping our boundaries. Don't do it again. And here's the way to make sure you don't do it again. So I went, okay, no problem. Hands off. I will do my best not to cross that. But for those of you that are out there, I hear a lot of complaints about various different communities going, oh, they banned me because of this. This is not fair. They banned me because of this, or they won't let me talk about this. Bad news. Okay, that issue of do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you have laws in your business, if you have laws in, codes of conduct in your company or in your house, my suspicion is you desire people to follow these. There's a gentleman living close by that I've seen. There are families, and I find it more often than not from Oriental families, where the idea of walking in your own home with your shoes on is just absolutely appalling. Okay, and in their homes, they go, do not wear your shoes in my house. In my house, I'm like, you might want to leave your shoes on. But then I've got my own reasons for that. One of the big ones is the carpet and the carpet bindings between for my dining room show through. So if you're in sock feet, the odds are you're going to hurt yourself. Leave your shoes on. The spikes aren't that long. The point being, if you're in a community, whether it's a physical one or an electronic one, follow the laws. I mean, there will be mistakes. You may get your hand slapped for overstepping them. Okay, but this is not the fault of the people that put the laws in or put the guidelines in. For me, it was a real simple issue. And one of the challenges I run into is I'm looking at the path that society is going down right now. And unfortunately, I can see an outcome. I've seen this kind of path before, with people being so caught up in, I want to have my freedom to do things my way. Okay. And they get caught up in that instead of looking at it going, here's the society you're living in. Okay. When you're living in a society and the law says this is what you have to do, it would be my suggestion that you do that. Like, I mean, an obvious example, I saw a real good post one day. Or not post, rather. It was a bumper sticker, which gives you an idea how long ago it was. But there was a bumper sticker that literally said, all those against speeding tickets, please raise your right foot. Meaning, if you don't want to get a speeding ticket, lift your right foot off the accelerator. Personally, if I'm driving and I can't see properly, I slow down. If the weather's really bad, I'll just slow down. Okay. That's just, to my way of thinking, that's just the easiest way. I was talking to one chap, he was absolutely livid that he had been pulled over for speeding, out of a whole line of people that were speeding. And I looked at the chap and I went, one question, were you speeding? He goes, yes, but I said, no, but you were speeding, you got pulled over for speeding. You're the one responsible for breaking the speed limit and for breaking the speed limit. The law is posted right there. The fact that everybody else got away with it is not the relevant issue. The fact you got pulled over was because of your behavior, not because of theirs. When you look at that whole law, when I first got my license 40 years ago now, I literally asked my mom. I said, curiosity, do you follow the speed limit that's posted or the one everybody actually does? Okay, well, her immediate reaction was definitely follow the one that's posted. Okay. So, and I hear by a lot of different people, it depends. If the posted speed limit exists and everybody's going going faster, then it may be safer to go at the higher speed. And it may be, but the reality is the law says it's not. And to my way of thinking, if the law says this, okay, do this. Okay. So do I have some skewed opinions on quite a number of occasions according to people? You bet. Okay, but am I going to complain to somebody like, I mean, I am amazed. I don't speed anymore, but I am amazed at the number of times I got away with speeding. Okay, I remember one day the speed limit. I went through a small town where the speed limit was 50 kilometers, about 30 miles an hour. Only I missed the sign, so I shot that through that area at 100, just shy of 120, aka close to 100 miles an hour through a 30 zone. I got pulled over, but what I never did understand, and we are talking a decade ago now, what didn't make sense to me, and I was quite happy for it, is I got off on a warning, on a verbal warning. Okay, now very few people are that lucky. Of course, the next time I come through, I ended up being pulled over by the same cop. But in that case, I asked him because I knew I wasn't speeding. And I asked him point blank, I says, did I do something wrong? He says, no, absolutely not. He said, I just recognized your vehicle. So I just wanted to say thank you for paying attention to the speed limit. Most of the people that work in these enforcement agencies or watch the rules on cyber lines or that sort of thing, most of them are genuinely decent people. Yes, you'll find the occasional one that is an absolute doorknob. Okay. But most of them are decent. Which is why when I got this email, it was pleasant enough, and it just said, "This is the first time you've done this, so we're just letting you off on a warning. Carry on. Here's the guidelines to make sure you don't do it again. Do check them out." So I did go on one of these rare occasions. I actually went through them line by line, as it were, to double check to make sure I don't step on anything, at least not knowingly. I'm likely to make a mistake now and then. Okay, I'm going to bring something to your attention. Another thing about the cyber world at this point. And again, this boils down to making sure you shift the energy in your own home. I got, I got a message on my email that said Yahoo is changing a whole bunch of security. I caution you very strongly before you hit a link like that. Double check the address on the email. Okay, do not just hit the link. Okay, I checked the address on this email. I can't tell you what the email is anymore because, well, frankly, it was an address. It was an individual person's name, and the address had nothing to do with Yahoo. Considering it ended with I think it was .ic, which I have no idea what that means, but I do know it means it wasn't Yahoo. In spite of how professional it looked. Now, to say the least, when you find an email like that, double check the email address that it's coming from. If it doesn't look like it adds up, do not hit the link. Whenever you're talking about updates, go to the original. In my opinion, you go to the actual website to check anything in the way of updates necessary. But when this one came in, I checked the email address and went, that's got nothing to do with Yahoo. So what I did was, without hitting the link, I deleted the form, and then I emptied my recycle box. Am I a little paranoid on occasion? Probably, but I don't trust technology as far as I can throw it. Okay, now I was talking to somebody the other day, and I haven't looked up the email because it seemed to me such a ludicrous comment to make. I couldn't see the point in looking up the individual. But apparently there is an individual out there that is literally making this claim that we don't need humans anymore. Electronics and robots can do everything we do. Well, I'm not sure about the veracity of it. I haven't looked into it, but what I do know is this. If you are saying you don't require humans anymore, my suspicion is the guy making the comment was probably human, and I can see there being a glitch here. What confuses me is apparently this man has several thousand followers. Okay, and to me, following somebody that makes a comment like that, you just have to look at it and go, unless you're watching it for comedy relief, for comic relief, it doesn't make sense to me to follow somebody with that kind of a shall we say perspective. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a huge fan of technology on the whole, but technology does have its advantages. Okay, like there are purposes for it. One of the most obvious purposes for computer, at least in my eyes, is this one. I could not be doing these videos if it weren't for technology. Okay. But when you're looking at your home, it really boils down to, and yes, I got a little outside of it, but this is part of that issue of balancing out this energy. Okay, so I was planning on doing something, um, and I've run into some interesting snags. Am I still interested in world unity? And I don't mean a one world government with one person sitting at the top going, this is how we do it. Okay, dictatorship does not work well. Not in my eyes. Okay, but when we're talking about world unity, I'm referring to people following three laws. Everybody following the same three laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now let me explain. Be true to yourself first boils down to make sure that it sits right here. But remember, it runs hand in hand with do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. In order to be true to you, yes, it's got to feel right. But when you're dealing with laws, when you're dealing with guidelines, either in the material world or in the cyber world, those laws, if you were to place laws on your site or in your business, you said, these are the rules of conduct. You would expect other people that came there to honor those laws. Same thing applies to the cyber world. Okay, the cyber world it's a digital world, but the three karmic laws still apply. So it is absolutely imperative when you go to a site where it says these are the laws, follow the laws. Yeah, you may make a mistake. Okay, it happens. Let's face it, I'm certainly not perfect. Lord knows if I was, I wouldn't be on this mud ball. But when we talk about being true to yourself, make sure you're doing things that feel right to you. Like, for instance, in my case, one of the big things I am working on to put my whole system in line properly, and understanding that the physical body is where it comes to your home, it is essentially the cerebral cortex of your home. It's what makes things possible. Now, I set a goal to drop below the 200-pound mark before the end of this year. Well, again, I hit another marker yesterday, Sunday. I was at 202.6, I think. Okay. Which means I've only got to reach my goal, I've only got like 2.5 pounds over the next 6 months. Now it's likely to fluctuate, but I'm staying on it because I desire to drop the weight for me. Now, I kid you not, I used to have a stomach that stuck that far out from my waist. Okay, I don't. No, I'm not going to stand up and show you because, frankly, don't like my body anyway. But the point being, I decided I was dropping the weight for me. Not because the doctor said I needed to, not because my other half said I needed to, but because I looked in the mirror and went, I'm not content. So I'm dropping the weight. I'm looking into changing my wardrobe. Of course, I'm not exactly what we call fashion smart. So I'll deal with what I do, but it will be new, at least for me. Okay. When you look at do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, that is literally an issue of if you're seeing somebody else's laws, somebody else's guidelines, follow those guidelines when you're in their area. Same as if you lay out guidelines for your area, you would undoubtedly desire other people to follow them. Because let's face it, you didn't exactly make the guidelines up just to watch yourself right. Okay, this is a critical issue. Okay, and getting the energy running in here properly, and in your entire home is absolutely imperative. Okay, and with that in mind, we have the third one, which is energy in, energy out, energy in. Meaning, whatever you put out there, whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to draw back to you. Now, as you can see, I got a whole pile of new containers up here. That's because I ran out of room with the boxing setup that I was using for the figures I paint. Speaking of which, where did it go? Oh well, I'll do that next one. Anyway, when you desire to accomplish something, it is absolutely imperative that you focus on it and you get that working. You put the effort into it. The books that I'm writing will not be written if I don't put the effort into them. Which is why don't need that here. Which is why when I take a look at this. This is the book I do my hard copy writing in for the Yldrbac Chronicles. So I've been transferring them over. I've written them by hand. Okay. And well, I've written and completed this much here. This amount here is all written and still has to be copied over. Still has to be turned into soft copy. Okay. This is one of the tools I use to keep things organized. And then all around here, I've got all sorts of neat little things going on, neat little programs I've got on the go. Whoops, hope that didn't do anything wrong. Just looking for a couple of things that I have to have up and running. While I'm here, I figure I might just as well kill two at the same time. There we are. Now we go. Okay. And that was 1718, so we should be on that one. We're just opening up a couple files because when I'm done this, I've got another project I've got to deal with. So I figure, what the heck, I might just well get them open. This is just one of those issues of going, this is what I desire to accomplish. This is the goals that I have for me. Okay, but since I got to deal with them as soon as I get done this video, I figure, what the heck, I might as well get these ones organized. What's that? 521. Okay, so that takes care of that. But this is a question of putting the boundaries in place and going, these are the goals I have. These are the things I require for me to be content. So just while I'm here, it's like pop that down to where it belongs. And we grab that. And what I've done here, because I've got 4 monitors now. Okay. Really, when we take a look at the office, where you work on your finances, where you work on your anything written. Okay. Like I use a computer. I do have a printer now to pop it off with. Okay, but This is the backbone of what I require. Now, I was looking for something. What the heck was it? I do like when I do that. Oh, 519. No, not 519. Yeah, 519. There we are. Okay. Now I'm set up for the next task I have to do right after this one. Okay. My pen. This is a question of getting your head on straight. Okay. And I'm a firm believer that lists work. Okay. So right now, I'm working on the journey. I'm working on this particular video. So I'm just making a few notes for things that I have to deal with today. Okay. But in order to make the energy in your home work right, you've got to get organized in your own head how you desire to make that look. Okay, now the brain has to be running, whether we're talking about your home or we're talking about your house. If the brain is not functioning, your home is not going to work right. If you're not functioning correctly, you're not going to be able to get the brain of your home to work. Okay, so this really boils down to an issue of making absolutely certain that you focus on what you're doing. Okay, that you put a list together. Lists work like an absolute charm for me, but here's the thing with them. With any given list, you start with 3. Well, technically, you start with 1. Make these goals 15 minutes to half an hour in length. By doing that, you'll be able to get them done and you'll be able to see progress in your day. Okay. Now, the neat part about it for me is this. I keep the journey down to a half hour. Okay, but the tools I offer here are the exact same tools I personally use and the same philosophies of life that I personally live by. Does this always agree with other people? Absolutely not. But that said, at least I can stand here and say, this has worked for me. Now, with that in mind, okay, I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.